Hello and welcome to this Christian Walk podcast, the show where no topic is too taboo to empower you on your walk with God. I'm your host, Marley B, and it is my privilege to welcome you back to season 5. And today's conversation is all about gratitude. Today, I invited my friend and sister in Christ, Rasheeda Green, to share her experiences about enjoying the state of gratitude in her everyday life through the blessings of life, love, and motherhood. Her conversation and testimony truly blessed me, and it is my prayer that it will do the same for you. So without further ado, let's get into it right now.
Listen, homie, can you walk with me? Talk with me. What you know about God? Will He ride with me? Come and open my eyes for me. Hear my story. Show me more what's in store. And once more, listen, homie, can you walk? Can you walk? Let's walk.
All right, Rasheeda Green, welcome to this Christian Walk podcast.
Woo-hoo. Thank you. Thank you so much for having me, Miss Marley.
Thank you so much for agreeing to be on here. I am super excited about this conversation. But before we get into it, I definitely want to give you a moment to introduce yourself to the TCW fam.
Well, hello. I am Rasheeda Green. I am the founder and CEO of Get Right Coaching, the host of the Mompreneur HQ community out there on Facebook, the creator of Digimompreneur Academy, where I help moms who are determined to find time, money, and location freedom to start, grow, and scale online businesses so that they can build the life of their dreams without neglecting themselves or their families in the process. I am a Christian. I am a wife and a mother of 2 spicy young ladies. And yes, I'm an entrepreneur. My background is in corporate. However, I have found myself being an entrepreneur for over 14 years now, and I love it. And yes, I am glad to be able to join you all on this Christian walk because, in fact, each person's walk is different. It is unique and totally their own. And so I'm glad to be able to be on the show to share my walk today.
It is so great to have you. And I thank you for going ahead and classifying yourself as a Christian, even though, people who are not walking the walk right now, I'll say right now, because I'm always plant a seed of bringing people to Jesus. Amen. But if you're
Amen.
not walking with Jesus, I'm not judging you. I'm not clowning you, none of those things. But I'm glad that you went ahead and said that. And I'm interested in how your background as a Christian is. Was it something that you grew up in, or is it something that you came to later in life?
Well, I am a PK. I am a preacher's kid. Yes. So I grew up in a Christian household. My mother is actually the one who brought my father to Christ. And then he ended up being the pastor over the church that she was in and grew up in since she was 6 years old. And so once he became the pastor, I became a PK. And so that has been my life, basically doing all of the tasks in the church, simply because we did have a small family church. And so I learned how to do different things. I'm the oldest of my siblings. And so I also had responsibilities there. So at various points, I just learned to be a very responsible person, and being in the church, learned how to do different things to help move the ministry.
Well, yeah. You definitely in the right place, because you've been walking this walk a long time, and you walking it with boldness, which is where we all strive to be, right? It is one thing. Yes, we all strive to do it with boldness. Sometimes you just kind of creeping around on this Christian walk, like, okay, I don't know what I'm doing, but the goal is to do it boldly and to do it confidently and to do it with gratefulness, right? And that's the primary reason that I had you or asked you to come on to the show today to talk about the importance of gratitude. just recently you were featured in a book about gratitude. Tell us a little bit about that book.
Yes, thank you. So we launched a book. It was a whole host of us that came together to do what is called the Community Book Project, and it's celebrating 365 days of gratitude. So a bunch of authors came together and created this book of just stories and impactful stories of what gratitude means to them. So there were some that were very personal, there was some that was sentimental, there were some that were poems, and then some were actual brief short stories all put into the pages of this book. And mine was one, and we tried to select dates, but I was not able to get the exact date I wanted. But I did get a date in spring because my article was about my springtime miracles. So yes, we came together, and in there I was speaking about my gratitude for my springtime miracles, aka my two spicy sister girls.
So you have two spring babies, I take it.
To my daughters.
Yeah. So you have two spring, both of them are spring babies?
Both of them. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
When are their birthdays?
March 27th and April 25th. Yep.
Okay.
So they were both born in spring. And if you don't mind, I can tell you more about that story and how that was so important to me to share with this gratitude book. And so with the story, I had to be brief because I needed to keep it to a single page. But I really wanted to convey how grateful to God I was for being able to have these young women in the first place, because my story actually birthed from one of infertility, and talking about, getting married. It's the whole song. What is it? First come love, then comes marriage, then comes the baby and the baby carriage. Well, we were progressing. We were friends first. Then we were in love, we got married, and then, the expectation, societal norm is the next thing is to have a baby. Well, we were married for a whole 5 years without having any children. And at points in our marriage, it became a little stressful in dealing with the question, because as I mentioned, it's a societal norm. Everybody kind of expects it. So they have no qualms in asking you, well, when you going to have children? Well, when the baby's coming? Well, what y'all waiting for? I see y'all traveling. Hey, well, first off, yes, we are married. Yes, we are going to enjoy one another as we are married. And so if we feel like traveling and waiting a while, that should be our pure business, right? But, people, it didn't stop people from asking the question. And sometimes that would lead to periods of depression, anxiety, stress, trying to figure this thing out. And yes, we are Christians, we are believers of God, and we know that He is the ultimate architect, and He has this master plan. And even when we don't know it, He is still working, right? Yes. And at that time, we're talking about the Christian walk. Sometimes you detour. Sometimes you feel like you're looking at the sign, clearly say go. And you're like, no. So at that time, it was a struggle, and a personal struggle of mine. And so when we decided, we might need a little help here, we decided, to investigate with fertility specialists to find out, hey, what's happening? What's going on? And so once we found out what was happening and got the assistance that we needed, we were on our journey to motherhood. But if I could interject even in my own story about how it happened, one of the things, and we're talking about Christian walk, that I found out was that I was not walking the walk like I was supposed to.
Now you got to unpack that. Now, what you mean you wasn't walking it?
So I am saying, Lord, we've been married all this time. We want to have a child. What's happening? It ain't happened. When you going to make it happen? And asking all these questions. And then I had heard from the Lord, and He said, well, how you asking me for something and you ain't doing what I asked you to do? And I was like, oh, clutch the pearls. Like, what you mean? And it was a time where I mentioned that I grew up in my parents' church. And when I got married, my husband no longer wanted to go to that church. And I'm looking like, well, that's on you. Go ahead. Deuces. You want to, hey, this is a free world. This is our own. This is our own individual Christian walk, and this is where I'm getting fed, and this is where I've been fed, and this is where I'm staying. And my husband had grown to a level. He had become a deacon, and he was ordained minister at the time, and he had a different message from the Lord on where he needed to be in order for him to grow. And because I wasn't getting the same message, I felt like, well, if God led you that way, then go ahead. And
So
I did
y'all
not.
was just going to two separate
churches
for years.
No, not for years. Yes. When I started doing the math, I was like, oh
yeah. It was a couple of Christmases. Yeah,
yes, it was. And so I was like, well, I'm going to start going. Maybe I'll just go one Sunday a month. That's what I'll do. I'll go, because my good old aunt, I ain't gonna name no names, but my aunt was like, girl, you better go to that church so they know he married.
That part. I'm like, you a good one. You got a strong union. You like, go ahead to that pool of singleness by yourself.
Right.
And I'm right here.
My aunt and her wisdom said, you better go into that church and let them know that that man married. And so I was like, we got a ring on. They know. And then they was, you don't see you.
That ring is catnip to some folks.
Right. So I was like, oh Lord, have mercy. I said, fine, I'll go one Sunday a month. And those good people grabbed me up and hugged me up and loved on me. And, and they made a space for me. And so I was like, okay, maybe 2 Sundays. And so I went 2 Sundays with him to church, and I did 2 Sundays at my church. And at that point, as we were towards the 5-year mark, that's when I started conversing a little more with God about what's going on, what's happening. And that's what I heard. And that's what my revelation was, sis, what you doing?
You want God to do something for you. A great point, because we always about what God is supposed to do for us, but we're, we tend to negate the things that God is requiring of us. And absolutely, the best thing we can do is get real about that, really have that conviction and that realization. First of all, you be real about it, and then own it, and then fix it.
Real, own it, fix it. Absolutely. Totally agree. And that's when the whole fixing part had to come together. And one year I just said, you know what, that I think it was a new year was rolling in. It was 2012. And I said, you know what? I can't keep asking God for these things if I'm not willing to do my part. And so I went and I joined the church in 2012, and I was pregnant that same year.
Wow.
That same year. And so it was like, oh, see how following God and listening and hearing and doing, how he can and will fix it. And
so you didn't have to do no fertility treatments or nothing like that?
Yes, we did. We did all that, but God was so good. We found the right people to work with. They were very informative. They gave us all the steps. They kept us informed of every step of the way, what was blocked here and what needed to be cut there, and what, all this stuff. They were very good people to work with. And again, there was still struggle there because my husband was traveling 60% to 7% of the year. And so me doing that was kind of crazy too. Yeah. But, some of the things that things that we've heard about, these treatments and things, and people who have gone through it multiple times with failed times. Yeah. Right. And people who end up with multiples because they were just trying to even the odds, better the odds, only to find out that they have now 5, 6 kids. And we were even in that leaning on God to say one and done, Jesus, because this is a big deal. And so it worked out in our favor that we did not have to do multiple attempts. We did not have to do multiple procedures. We just did it once, and
Wow.
and God gave us favor, and that help that we needed worked one time. So,
and then the second time you guys did it with no help. It was
that's false.
Oh.
False.
Wait a
Yeah.
minute.
Yeah.
So you had to do the treatments again?
No. We
Okay.
did have to seek help again.
Okay.
Yes, because 5 years later, we were at the same point. We had not had another child. Our child was asking for a sibling. We wanted her to have a sibling because Lord knows she was taking up all my life. So yeah, we thought about it and was like, well, it's not a necessary, if God wills it, it'll be, again, we're still Christians, we're still believing. And I think that God put people in place to help you to get to different levels in your life. And in this case, it just happens to be, a fertility specialist that helped us to be able to have these beautiful springtime miracles. And so, yes, we still sought help. But that in itself, I'm glad you brought that point up, because that in itself was another miracle. We went to a specialist and they did these tests and they said, oh, well, this is the problem. And they showed us this diagram, this picture of the blocks, all the blockage, and how the colored, I forgot what they call it, but it's this colored dye that they put in, and where the colored dye just built up because it was blocked, it couldn't go any further. And that's why that's the presumption as to why, this we could not conceive, because there was a blockage.
Right.
And the year turned over and the insurance company was like, well, guess what? New insurance, we don't cover that group. So we had to start all over. And when we started over, and this is not IVF or anything. This is just to identify what's going on and then potential treatments. So we found out that we had to go to a new fertility specialist. We went to the new fertility specialist only. And with them, they were like, and we kept praying, and while all this was going on, because we were upset at first, but then we just prayed that God's will be done. And when we went to this new doctor, they ran the tests again, and they said, what blockage? I'm like, we saw the diagram. It was stop. It was a puddle.
Right.
And she was like, no, there's no blockage.
So the Holy Spirit just plunged you right on out, and you was good.
I was like, whoa. And we was praising God for that.
Yes.
And she was like, there is no blockage. It was like, once she said that, it was like, what? So she said, okay, well, we can proceed if you would like. And so we started treatments. But the day I was supposed to report in so that we can actually start the process, nothing happened, i.e. my cycle had not come. So what that meant was, oh, I'm late. Oh my gosh, what's happening? And sure enough, we were pregnant.
Wow.
So we went from December with this blotch on the screen saying we're blocked and can't have children,
right, to
without surgery, because that was the next step. They were setting us up for surgery for that February.
Wow. So you were able to avoid surgery.
Avoid surgery altogether. And something that we thought, and that's another lesson, something that we thought that was going to be frustrating and just expensive and just a mess, switching over from doctors, and this is not just a regular physician. These are fertility specialists. You can't just find them the dime a dozen, right? You have to make sure you're doing your research and that these are good people. And we were in a whole nother state from the first time that we did it. So it was just a whole different ball game. And then trying to do that a second round and being told, oh, well, now we don't cover that place, so you got to go somewhere else. It was just very frustrating. And then God just, again, he showed up. And this also was a time after, just really getting acclimated. We had just moved into Charlotte. We were trying to do, we were in ministry. My husband had started ministry classes over again. So, it was just a lot going on.
Yeah.
And I was still home from work. So it was just a lot going on. And when we were going through this, it was not the easiest thing because I remembered, we can think the past is the past, but you still remember.
Oh
I
yeah.
remember how hard it was going through that the first time.
It's so
And so
important for us to remember this stuff because
yeah.
sometimes we forget, and that's when you find out and you lose gratefulness because you forget about the road that God had carried you through.
Mm.
We have, so remembering is a good thing. So definitely continue to do that. But I'm curious that how you held on, like when in the wait, like when you first see that first diagram, and and then you first get that notification that okay, you're gonna have to start all over, and and you moving from one state to another, and that's gonna make it even more of a uphill battle. How do you hold on to your gratefulness in the middle of it? Because while you have hope, it still needs to be, that gratitude has to be hand in hand with it, I believe. And so
Absolutely.
how did you hold on to it during those tough times?
During those tough times, it was just a matter of holding on and doing what I've been doing. And so when you get tired, you get stressed out. Sometimes you just feel like drawing back and hiding in the corner. And sometimes that's what I did. But most times it was just going back to what I knew. And I knew that God was a healer. I knew that God was a miracle worker. I knew that he could bring me out of whatever I was going through, whatever was stressing me out, i.e., these people, and tell me I had to start all over and find find a new team. And it was hard, but I was still in church. I was still in ministry. I was keeping myself extra busy. Actually, at that time, I was in like 5 different ministries at one time. But that was my coping mechanism, some might say, to be able to just be active, stay busy, keep my mind off of what I can't control.
Yeah.
And for me, that seemed like something I couldn't control. And just again, just like you said, having that hope, but also that faith in knowing that God is who he says he is. So
And,
even in those struggles, even when it got hard, even when I wanted to give up and all that stuff, I'm not going to say that I was free of those feelings. I am human. But at the end of the day, I knew I had to just hold on and trust God. And so when
and
he
so
came through on
he
baby
can't,
number 2,
right. So
without
let
having
me
to have
let me
no
ask you
surgery, it
this.
was like, oh,
And then in retrospect, I'm definitely want to ask you this because you told me that, you know, keeping busy. And I know that's sometimes the default for a lot of people. And in retrospect, do you think that was the best option? Because sometimes people will do take that route, and that's not the healthiest route. So is that something you would suggest in retrospect, or I'm definitely want your opinion on that.
no. So, especially in my case, trying to have a baby. Oh no.
Yeah, let me
Busy,
just pile
busy.
on more stress while while I
It,
should be calming myself.
exactly. So no, it was not the best advice that I would give anyone who is trying to conceive, that you would go about making yourself even busier. No, no. Because you should be at a more relaxed, slow pace. Not that you have to stop, because again, women do a lot of things as it is. And if you're working full time and you have children already at home, or if you're working full time and you're in ministry, you already have stuff going on. And I'm not saying, oh, stop, drop, and roll. What I'm saying is don't create more busyness and more stress for yourself unnecessarily. Ministry is good. God wants you to be serving. You should not be sitting down saying, "Oh, I'm not going to do anything till I get what I want from God." No, you need to serve while you wait. And then, that whole praise him before, praise him before the thing happened. Praise him as if it already happened. And serve him as if it already happened. I think that is actually what you should do. What I did was that times 10, right? Because I was doing all the busyness trying to show God, oh yeah, God, I'm faithful. I'm doing it. You can't earn it.
Oh, come on now. Come on now.
You can't earn it.
You cannot. But and you made a great point. It is so, we ask God for stuff, but we don't prepare. We don't expect it in how we move and how we, and how we do life. We don't make room for it. And I'm not saying, hey, go ahead and buy a bassinet before you get the test, but or whatever the situation is, because it's not always about trying to get pregnant. Whatever you expecting God for, if you believe in your heart that that's something He told you He's going to do for you in His time, then we should believe it and expect it in our actions and in our and in our and in our living.
Absolutely.
And so I think that is a point that we definitely, because sometimes we'll sit and ask God for stuff all day, and then we won't really expect it. And we really need to expect that He's going to do what He said He'd do, especially when we're in alignment with Him. Now you can't just, and I want people to be clear that's listening to this. We're not saying God is a genie and He's going to give you everything that you asking for. This is not that. But when you are in relationship with God and He is you in alignment with what He said He's going to do for you, because, and let me ask you that, specifically, did you know that you were going to have a second baby? Did you know, and how did you know?
That's a good question. I kind of expected that I would. Like, even though it had not happened in 5 years, right? 4 years, 4 years. Because we had her 5 years later. So it hadn't happened in all that time. I still felt that there was one more. People were telling me, "Oh, don't you want the boy?" I just want one more. I'm not trying for a boy. I just want one more. And so when we started out, I kind of didn't think that I wouldn't have another one. I just felt that if He did it before, He could do it again. And so I did have an expectation.
That's what's up. And that expectation, that's something that we definitely need to have. And, just to make sure that we are generalizing this thing, because I don't want people to think, once again, that this is specific to this situation. What God did in this situation, He is such a great big God that He can do it in your situation. He can do it in my situation. I've seen Him do amazing things for me that I never thought would happen. And some things I expected, and some things I couldn't have fathomed.
Imagine, right?
I could not have fathomed. So I'm not gonna say everything that God do for you, you're gonna expect it. He will blow your mind. He definitely will. But when we are, talking about being in a state, we're living in a time and in a world that's full of so much despair. It's, we have earthquakes that's popping up everywhere. It's wars and threat of wars. We right now in the threat of nuclear war from Russia. Real talk, right? Homelessness is at an all-time high. Mass shootings and other senseless violence. Addiction is rampant. Looming threats of this lingering COVID-19. Sometimes it is easy to join the status quo of God isn't a good God, right? And I just want to be able to show people what's the best way to hold on to gratitude in the midst of calamity, in the midst of things looking as though, it's hopeless. Because at the end of the day, we still have hope. But what I think, and please correct me if I'm wrong, one point that I think that we definitely want to drive home is gratitude is a choice.
Absolutely.
And I want to, give you a chance to speak on choosing that. We have to get up and make that choice every day. We can choose to look at the negative or the things that we don't have, or we can choose to know God, our Father, is working even the stuff that we can't understand out for our good. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. It definitely is a choice. I mean, there's so many things in life that we do, what we acknowledge, what we put as important in life are based on choices. And one of them is gratitude. And I would say that we don't think about it as a choice or something, because the basic gratitude that we do is, oh, somebody give me something, I'm going to say thank you.
Right.
But even in that simplistic view, it still applies when it comes to God and what he has done. And when we think about, if we had to say thank you, which is the common courtesy or gratitude for when somebody does something for you, we would never cease to stop thanking God. Because everything that we are, everything that we do is from God. When we take a breath, and they say how X number of breaths that a person could take in a day without doing any exercise or whatever the average is a lot. It's a lot. Mm-hmm. And so just even having breath in our bodies is something that we should be grateful to God for. And, when somebody gives you something and you say thank you, a person, a good-hearted person, a kind person is automatically sometimes thinking, what can I do nice for you? Because they feel gratitude. They're grateful for you doing something nice for them. And they normally want to reciprocate it. Now, you'll have people that will give you a gift and say, don't give me nothing back, because they know that person is the type of person that will want to do something back. And it's not tit for tat. It's not, oh, you did something for me, I got to do something. Or, somebody did something for me, I don't want to have to owe no man. That is true.
That is such a great point.
That's true to an extent, right? I don't want to, no, you did something good for me, I'm going to have to do something back. I'm going to have to outdo your good.
Yeah.
We get into that, but it's not necessarily something that we should be doing, because we just want to express gratitude. It's not a competition. It's not I'm going to outdo you, or I feel like I have to do something to make up for the good that you've done for me. Because if we do that in our earthly, how about the unearthly, the heavenly, right? That relationship with God. If he does something for us and we trying to outdo him and his good, it's never going to happen. They say you can't beat God given, no matter how hard you try, right?
Yes.
So, but we should be able to accept the choice. You have an option to be grateful or to not be grateful. You have an option to give or not give. And if God is constantly giving into you and pouring into you and sharing all of his goodness with you, then a grateful person will make the decision to show gratitude. God, you've been good to me. I'm going to give to your church. I'm going to serve, and I'm going to worship. I'm going to praise. I'm going to pray. I'm going to help. I'm going to love. You want to do all these things because you know that the things that you have were given graciously to you. So you want to then turn and be gracious to others. And so gratitude is definitely a choice, and you can choose to do it every day. And that's why sometimes it's even a struggle, because it is a choice. If you had to do it every day, then you'd be doing it begrudgingly, which also leads to the, I already did, you can't be God-given, but you have to be a cheerful giver too.
Yes.
Right. So
Yes.
if you're not cheerful and you're giving, people might receive what you're giving, but they may feel some kind of way.
Oh yeah,
And it may be
absolutely.
revealed.
And I love the fact that the point that you made, because and it made me specifically think about Christmas time, because some people don't like to get Christmas gifts or gifts for your birthday or gifts at all. Sometimes let's get real general about bless you to
Thank
get
you.
because they feel that they have to give a gift back. And I was one of those people. I was one of those people that I'm a gift giver, and so it's hard for me. I felt a certain level of guilt if somebody gave me a gift and I didn't give back, and that's something that I had to had to shake that, because I done gave plenty of gifts and didn't give it back and didn't think nothing of it. But for some reason, I could. If somebody gave me one, I felt the need to have to do something nice for them. But and I think if we look at it in terms of, okay, I was blessed in this moment. When I get an opportunity, I'll bless somebody else. It don't have to necessarily be that person. You know what I mean? And that is a way of showing gratitude by paying it forward, even. And I just
Paying it
think that,
forward. Yep.
yeah, paying it forward is a sign of gratitude. It's not so much, don't feel like, okay, I owe you something because you gave me something, because that's not what giving is supposed to be about. It's supposed to be about the heart. If I'm giving it to you, now, if we talking about a loan, that's something different. But if we talk about Rasheeda, I'm not messing with that's
Listen,
something different. But if you talking about somebody give you, do a nice gesture for you, or give you a gift out the kindness of their heart, we got to shake that culture that I have to give something back. People need to let that go, because it's something associated with that. I'm not sure if that's pride. I'm not sure exactly what that is, but we got to shake that, because it's definitely not of God, because God gives to us knowing we can never repay him. And our goal is to be like Jesus, and he gave his whole life for us. And so we'll never be able to pay that back. But he wants us to be gracious to other people. So that's something that I hope, if nothing else comes out of this, if somebody does something from you, don't always feel the need to 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 give it back, and don't block people from giving.
That right there.
Don't block people from giving.
My mother would say that because I'm a gift giver too, so I give gifts all the time, and I get that from her because she is a giver. And she would try to when she gave somebody something and they'd be like, "No, I can't take that." Don't block my blessing.
Blessing. That's it.
Lord told me this is what I'm supposed to do. Don't block my blessing. Don't keep
Yeah.
me from getting what I got to get from God because you want to be like, oh, I don't want. No, I'm not taking it.
So I got yes, that, because that is something that's a real issue. And I think a lot more people suffer from it than they admit, because it's not really a conversation that happens a lot. And that's something I hope that awareness is flaring up in people, so we can let that go. We can let that go. Girl, go on, take your gift. Going to take your gift, going to take your blessing, because trust me, whether you want to give it or got it to give, it's going to come back to them, and it's going to come from God. Trust and believe that.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? So that was a great point. I love it. And so when we think about, just ways of we already gave a little homework. That's a little conviction homework for everybody. But I want to give a little bit more homework here, Rasheeda. I hope you can help me with this, because I think that the practice of gratitude, it can be a skill that we all probably need to work on, right? And it's some things that we can do to kind of, help exercise that muscle, that gratitude muscle, so we can all get better at gratitude, right? I definitely want to get you to tap in on this, but definitely we've already talked about, of course, being in a relationship with God, having prayer, meditation, journaling. These are the type of things that help us identify the things that we're grateful for and be able to really verbalize them and put them in our spirit, so we can walk in that gratitude. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
But and then there's other things that we can do. I feel like staying away from negative people. Don't allow negative people's bad attitude or bad energy to change ours. You get up and when you make that decision to be grateful, don't let nobody change your mind during the day, whether they be in traffic, whether they be on that job, whether they be, all day ordering their Starbucks in front of you and you just want to get your macchiato. I'm not a coffee drinker, but whatever, I just know macchiato and coffee. But I don't even think I'm saying macchiato right. But
don't get me lying because I don't drink it either.
yeah, right, your cocoa, whatever this, your scone, whatever your situation is, right? But don't let people to knock you off of that decision that you made, that you decided that this is the day that the Lord has made, and I will rejoice and be glad in it. Once you make that decision, hold on to it. But I want to give you a chance to add to that. What other things we can practice to build our gratitude muscle?
Well, let me just tell you, I do have a gratitude journal that I sell on Amazon, and that's what I'm going to refer to as I share today. One of the things that you kind of touched on is journaling, because it is a journal, and being able to write down all those things. Sometimes we talked about not forgetting and going back and remembering. You can go back to a journal entry from 5 years ago and just be brought to tears by your own writing, your own reflections of a day. And you be like, oh my gosh, I remember that. I was struggling with that. And now I've overcome that, right? So journaling is definitely a way to pour out your feelings in writing so that you can get it off of you. Sometimes I say get it off of you because sometimes that's just what it is. Those words and those feelings can be on you so heavy that if you don't share it, it can become stressful and anxiety just build up on you. So sometimes when you're even those things that are not so happy, you need to write down so that you can get that pressure off of you. If you feel like you can't talk to someone, writing it is another way to get it out of your system so that you can move on and move forward. So yes, journaling would definitely be something I would recommend. Also, inside your journal, it doesn't always just have to be writing what happened for the day. It can be very purposeful writing. What are you writing about? Well, I'm writing about today 5 things that I'm grateful for that happened today. You can do the way one of my journals is set up for morning and evening reflections. So what are 5 things I'm grateful for this morning? What are 5 things I'm grateful for this evening? Also, positive affirmations. So I am deserving, I am wealthy, I am deserving of happiness. I am capable. Money comes to me because I deserve it. Just affirmations about positive affirmations about health, wealth, success, love, spirituality, whatever it may be, but just positive affirmations that you can speak over yourself on a daily basis to try to recalibrate those negative thoughts. You're basically fighting off negativity with positive thoughts about yourself and about the world. Because if you're constantly thinking negatively, or that the world is ending, or what was the sky is falling, or those things, then that negative attitude is definitely going to keep you bound and separate you from God, because he is a good God. And if you're always thinking about all the negative and the bad, and well, why God ain't saved these people, let God do what God do.
That's right.
And you just practice in the best ways that you can to make the best version of yourself by being positive and practicing those positive affirmations. And then also, I'd just like to say to consider your accomplishments each day. Now, one of the things I tend to struggle with is that I do a lot, but it seems to me so little, right? I'm like, oh, that's it. Oh, how was your day? What'd you do? I ain't do nothing. And then when you think of when you actually have to write down what it is that you've done, you're like, oh, I
That is a
accomplished
lot.
a lot today. I did this, I did that. But when you're just in the basic, 9 to 5, or you're just doing your thing, you're just doing the day.
Yeah.
And you don't really think about it. If you're not thinking about it, you don't get a chance to be grateful, because you kind of like just think it's supposed to happen. That's when we're taking things for granted. But no, we have to be able to be in a place of gratitude and make the choice every day. And the way that you can do that are those things we just mentioned about journaling, writing down your accomplishments, meditating, and also, having those positive affirmations that you speaking to yourself and speaking to your life every day.
Absolutely. And then I think that we would also be remiss if we don't bring up the fact that sometimes help is needed. Sometimes you need theology and therapy. And if you can't find your happy, if you can't find your gratitude, you may need to seek out a professional. And sometimes people feel like, oh, I'll just find a friend or a cousin or a sibling and pour all this stuff on them, and that should help. But we need to really absolve our family and friends from all of that. Sometimes it's cool sometimes, but for real, everybody need to go ahead and benefit from a professional friend. You need a professional friend, okay? And it's okay. We need to remove the stigma of going to see counselors, going to see therapists. I hate all that done had to happen for us to get to the point to really acknowledge the importance of mental health. But we're here, and they are a lot more attentive to it. So what people need to do now is take advantage of it. Don't delay it. And the hardest thing you're gonna do is make the appointment. Once you make the appointment, that's the hard part. And then all you got to do is get in there and just be open to trust.
That's good. That's good. And and you said that's the hard part, and that literally is the hardest part, because these therapists be booked out for months ahead of time. You be like, wait, hold on, I was trying to get I got problems now. And
Exactly.
they like, oh, we can't see you until, okay, well, the next available appointment is 6 months later. Okay.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, whoa. So that is the hardest part. You have to make sure that you're looking for someone who is that can get you an appointment, who is somebody compatible, who is somebody that's going to understand you. And the last thing I'd like to add too was, I almost forgot, was the prayer, being in constant communication with the Lord. So if that's in morning, night, noon, in between lunch breaks, whatever the case may be, have that relationship with God where you're able to speak with him and show him your gratitude through your words, your prayer, and your worship.
Absolutely. And now, what's the name of your gratitude journal?
It is a 5-week gratitude journal, and it's just really just pages full of so that you can document all of the stuff that we just talked about. It's a journal, and so it allows you to be able to document these things to help you to remind yourself to be grateful, and then you'll be able to reflect on the ways that you have shown gratitude throughout your week. And yeah, it's one of several different types of books that I have available, and I could drop the link at some point. But yes, that is gratitude. It's a choice. And
yeah. So do you have a website?
I do. So right now I am at www.digimompreneur.com, and that's DIGIMOMPRENEUR.com. And all of the journals will be on the shop tab. So we have prayer journals, we have journals for couples, we have to-do list journals. So just a variety of journals. And then, of course, the community book project celebrating 365 days of gratitude is available on Amazon under Digimompreneur Publishing.
Oh, awesome. So I'm gonna make sure that we get that. I'll get with you so I can get, like, I'll put the website up so people can see it again towards the end there, and the credits and that, and I'll make sure that I put it underneath the video when I put it up on YouTube so people can just kind of click on it and get to you. I appreciate you sharing it. I appreciate you being here, and I'm definitely not going to let you go without saying congratulations on being a recipient of the 2023 Phenomenal Woman Award. I did see that.
Thank you.
And
Yes, yes.
congratulations. Yeah, so do you want to talk about that?
Well, I was a recipient of the 2023 Phenomenal Woman Award, sponsored by the My Sister Keeper organization, and it was just a pleasant surprise and something very wonderful that I experienced with 23 other women, I believe, and well, I'm not going to, don't quote me on that, but with some other women, phenomenal women who are just making moves in their respective industries. And it was just, I just felt really blessed and showing, and in showing gratitude, I was just like, thank you, God, because we launched the book in December, and then in last month, we were able to have that award. And so 2023 has just really been a good year so far. So I'm grateful for that.
I am grateful for you. Thank you so much for being here and joining in this conversation. I hope you had a good time. I hope you'll come back.
Oh, shucks now. Yes, I had a good time. No, come on now.
Rasheeda, thank you so much. And I appreciate you so much.
Thank you for having me, and to your wonderful community. Come on, walk this Christian walk.
That part.
Thank you so much, Rasheeda, for coming on to the show and sharing your beautiful testimony about gratitude with us. And remember, you can get your copy of Celebrating 365 Days of Gratitude on Amazon today. And if this conversation spoke to you, please like it, share it, comment. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel. Remember, you can also check out our website, which is thischristianwalk.com, as well as stream us on the go on iHeartRadio, as well as Apple Podcasts. Now, when it comes to gratefulness and gratitude, it's all fine and dandy when everything is going well in life. But what about when life is not looking the way we planned it in our head? That is when true faith kicks in. And remember, if God brings us to it, He will bring us through it. So we should be grateful in every season of life on this walk with God. And one thing I know for sure is loving God can be easy. Trusting God can be hard. But I believe we can all get there one step at a time on this Christian walk. I will see you next time.
Listen, homie, can you walk with me? Talk with me. What you know about God, will He ride with me? Come and open my eyes for me. Hear my story. Show me more what's in store. And once more, listen, homie, can you walk?